on News 4.
CBS Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Hi, welcome back to the NFL Today on CBS. Coming right up, the Bills take on the Patriots, or some will see the Seahawks host the Oilers. Drew Bledsoe will start for New England despite the broken index finger on his throwing hand, the injury he suffered in the thrilling Monday night win over Miami. Meanwhile, in the other game, unknown John Kitna will start at quarterback for the Seahawks against the Oilers. He'll start in place of the benched Warren Moon. We'll see you back here at halftime with all the scores and highlights. Coming up, it's the Bills Patriots, or some will see the Seahawks Oilers right after this.
The most eye-opening thing about these vehicles isn't where they can take you.
Flutie has deep New England roots. Doug Flutie is a New England legend.
Flutie, look, unfortunate deep one for the end zone. Phelan is down there. Oh, he's touchdown! Touchdown, Boston College! He did it! He did it! Flutie did it!
He achieved a boyhood dream by becoming the starting quarterback for New England, but that was short-lived. Now, 9 years later, he comes home, a starter for Buffalo. 1998 has been a frustrating year for the New England Patriots. Their season in jeopardy until Monday night with 34 seconds remaining.
Caught! Touchdown! Touchdown, Patriots!
What miracle will happen this time? We'll find out next. We welcome you to Foxborough, Massachusetts, a late November Sunday encounter between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots as they meet for the 78th time. And the significance of this encounter emphasized by the current standings. The Jets have just thrashed Carolina to go to 8-4. Buffalo and New England 7-4 and 6-5 respectively. Miami playing New Orleans at the current time. Hi once again, everybody. Vern Lundquist along with Randy Cross. Second meeting between these two in 3 weeks. Buffalo won the first by 3, but Randy, the level of excitement here really high because of the quarterbacks involved.
Well, and the reason the Patriot fans are excited is Drew Bledsoe is going to start this game. And on this field this Monday night, Drew Bledsoe broke his finger in 2 places when his passing hand, right index finger, hit Mark Wheeler's passing our hand that broke that finger, but he's going to play. He needs a running game, though. You got to have Robert Edwards. You got to have this Patriots offensive line to get off the ball and free up the rookie out of Georgia. And the excitement from Buffalo's standpoint, Doug Flutie is back in the New England area, and he's starting at quarterback. He's a good passer of the football, but he really killed New England 2 weeks ago when he was able to scramble for 49 yards.
Those 49, part of the 213 Buffalo got on the ground. Almost balmy here in late November, 47 degrees. A slight breeze out of the east, mostly cloudy skies, but all in all, rather pleasant. Adam Vinatieri will kick off. Buffalo has won the toss. They've won 7 of their last 8. Kevin Williams is the deep man for the Bills. He waits at the 2-yard line. Williams at the 20. Doug Flutie played 2 years here. There is a flag down. And we'll check the infraction. Tackle made by Chris Canty. Walt Coleman is our referee today. Penalty against the Bills.
Illegal block. The back on the return team, number 56. 10 yards, first down.
As we said, he has spent 2 years here in 88 and 89. It has been 9 years, 1 month, and 21 days since he last started a game on this field. On that October afternoon, he led the Patriots to a 23-13 victory over Houston. Play fake for Flutie. Comes deep left side for Eric Moulds, and it is caught at the 22-yard line. Ty Law makes the tackle. Offensively for Flutie, this offensive line has really come on. Fina, Brown, Ziegler, Joe Panis, Jerry Ostrowski, Antoine Smith, and Sam Gash, the former Patriot in the backfield. Moulds, Reed, and Lonnie Johnson complete the lineup. Second down and 2. Goes right side, caught by Andre Reed. Steve Israel defending, number 21. Defensively now for the New England Patriots. And they have been hampered in the defensive line. Today they've got Collins, Chad Eaton is back, Henry Thomas, and Chris Sullivan for McInnes. The linebackers, Chris Slade, Ted Johnson, Teddy Bruschi. And in the secondary, Ty Law with 7 interceptions this season, Clay Malloy and Steve Israel. Thurman Thomas in after that 16-yard gain. First down 10 at the 39. And Thomas lines up split wide to the right. That's Thomas in motion to provide blocking help. Flutie flips it to Thurman Thomas to the 41-yard line. A tackle made by Chad Eaton.
Oh, so far right away, Pete Carroll is seeing the Buffalo Bills come out and throw the ball. They ran for over 200 yards last time these two teams met 2 weeks ago. And I'm sure they came into this game defensively bowed up, expecting Wade Phillips and his offense to come out just pounding the ball behind really a rejuvenated offensive line.
Second down and 8. Opening drive of the ball game. Antoine Smith, Sam Gash back in the offensive backfield. Draw play. Antoine Smith out near the 50-yard line. Teddy Bruschi, number 54, made the tackle. He starts in place of the injured Todd Collins. And right now, let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Vern and Randy, of all the things that Wade Phillips could be concerned about today, maybe the thing he's most preoccupied with is New England's running defense. He told me even though we ran against them for 213 yards 2 weeks ago, they held Miami to 33 yards on Monday night. And he said, I'd rather put the hype aside and be truthful with my team, tell them what's worrying me. And I told them what may have come easy to us the last time isn't going to come easy to us every time. Guys?
All right, Michelle. Short for Buffalo.
Hey, the biggest difference in the running games, though, that the New England defense is facing is the fact that this offense and these running games with Antoine Smith and Sam Gash in the power game and Thurman Thomas in the single backfield have got an offensive line that is coming off the ball, and they are just straight ahead splatter blockers. Chad Eaton's in a defensive tackle. That should make a difference, but you got to just man up and be a man to stop this running game.
3rd and 1, double tight end set. Jay Remersma and Lonnie Johnson both strong to the right side. Audible by Flutie. That's Remersma in motion. They will come left, and I don't think they got it. Well, now the spot looks to be very close. Crowd roared in anticipation of a denial, and then they saw the spot, and that looks like it might be there.
Well, Doug Flutie and the offense go right at the soft spot. See this soft spot right here? They figure we'll just go where there aren't any people. Well, Sam Gash gets stuffed in the hole by Ted Johnson. Great job by Ted Johnson. But watch the drive of the legs by Antoine Smith. There's the lead block that didn't work out, but he just leans forward and pushes off and gets that extra couple of inches that gets him the first.
And it is a 1st down and 10. Thurman Thomas back in the lineup now. Thomas goes right, crosses the 50 to the 49. Chad Eaton, number 90, makes the tackle.
You know, what a great contrast Wade Phillips has done with his offensive running games, though. With Thurman Thomas in as a single back, they'll stretch things out, and they let him run at angles. And when you got a guy that's rushed for over 11,000 yards, you let him run at those angles. That's what he's always done best in the draws and the things like that. Antoine Smith, that's the power game. But Thurman Thomas, great receiver and a good angle runner.
And Antoine Smith has assumed the starting role. He's back on the field now on 2nd down and 8. Johnson goes in motion to the right. Flutie backs up, comes left, finds Andre Reed, slips the tackle, picks up a 1st down inside the 40 as Steve Israel gets the defensive job. A 10-yard gain.
When we talk to the Patriots, this is exactly what the Patriots were worried about. It wasn't down the field with Doug Flutie. They say when a defensive back like Steve Israel plays against an Andre Reed, you've got to worry about the short routes, the little stuff. He'll just eat you up because as much as people talk about Doug Flutie's height, the velocity gets the ball to the Andre Reeds and the Eric Molds very, very quickly on the outside. It makes those short patterns a lot easier, but they're big money done a lot.
220th game, including the playoffs today, for Andre Reed and the Bills. And that should be a procedure call. Called by the umpire, Garth DeFelice. Here's Walt Coleman.
Prior to the snap, false start, 79 offense, 5 yards, still 1st down.
That against Big Reuben Brown, lined up at left guard right there, going to get a little twitch. He claims he was drawn off. Now it's you saw the tail come up and you saw the shoulders hunch, and that's not much of a twitch, but it's about a 5-yard twitch for Reuben.
First penalty of the ball game. It's spotted back at the 44-yard line. Thurman Thomas checks in and comes to the near side. 1st and 15. Opening drive of the ball game. They've killed 5 minutes already. Flutie goes right, caught by his tight end, Jay Remersma. And he picks up 4 to the 40-yard line. Lawyer Malloy, number 36, makes the tackle. Well, Doug Flutie graduated from Natick High School west of Boston. Then, of course, became a Heisman Trophy winner at Boston College. He played 5 games here while he was at BC. Won all 5. Spent 1 year with the New Jersey Generals of the USFL, 1 year with Chicago. A couple of years here during which he had 5 starts in this facility and was undefeated.
When you see him throw the balls like he has the last few, just firing these bullets out to the side, makes you wonder why people thought he didn't have the arm for this league.
2nd down, 11. Flutie improvises, fires it incomplete at the 32-yard line. Willie Clay was defending Kevin Williams.
And one of the things he does do extremely well is work out of the pocket, and coming this way to the left, as you'll see him move, I think is his most dangerous. When he runs this way and actually has the time to set his feet and look back into the field is when he's very dangerous. You keep moving, he's going to be less accurate, but if he can set his feet, that's when I think he gets big plays against defenses.
Buffalo goes with 5 wide receivers on 3rd and 11. Camille Loud, number 89, split way wide right. Blitz coming from New England. Flutie being chased. He's only been sacked 5 times as a starter. He is not sacked here. But there are flags to accompany the tackle back at the 45.
Well, when you get a blitz and you get a little bit of panic, Vern, the panic spreads. The line can feel panic, and when you get a little panic as a lineman, you start grabbing and pushing. There's a little illegal use of the hands.
Illegal block in the back on the offense, number 61. Penalties decline, 4th down.
Just a great call by Pete Carroll's defense. Look, you got Lawyer Malloy and Willie Clay. No one can pick them up because they know they're going out on a blitz. I mean, going out on a screen. Just a nice off-balance call by Steve Sidwell, the defensive coordinator of the New England Patriots.
Chris Moore on to punt. And Willie Clay waits for it back at the 10-yard line.
Vern, that's a good example of not giving Flutie enough time to improvise.
Here's Moore. Nice and high, not terribly deep. Fair catch call by Willie Clay at the 21-22 line. A 23-yard punt and a fair catch. Drew Bledsoe, broken right finger and all, at the helm when we come back.
It's an idea.
Buffalo can't get the 1st down once they cross midfield. They've given away now to New England. And Drew Bledsoe, the perception of Drew probably altered forever with his brave performance on Monday night. broken finger, index finger, throwing hand. Did not take a snap all week, but he is starting the ball game. Handoff, flag. Robert Edwards gets the give on first down and 10.
Well, big Ted Washington got that body of his moving, and once that body starts moving, there are no air brakes under God's green earth are going to stop that.
Ted Washington listed at 325. Now, are you a believer?
I'd say if you weighed parts of him, he'd be 325. Not the major parts. Ted is a big guy.
99 of the defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Well, he tilted and Gabe Northern came across. Let's do the lineups now for the New England Patriots up front. Armstrong, Damon Denson starts at left guard. His first start as a pro. Wollebaugh, Rucci, and Max Lane. Robert Edwards, Tony Carter in the backfield. Sean Jefferson, another of the heroes of the Monday night win, joins Terry Glenn, and the tight end is Ben Coates. 1st and 5. Derek Cullors is in the lineup. Here's Bledsoe's first throw. Terry Glenn gets the first down at the 35-yard line. Buffalo's defense, they've gone to a 3-4 now. Wade Phillips telling us that he's really happy with his front guys, Phil Hansen, Ted Washington, and Bruce Smith, but in particular pleased with the play of the rookie Sam Cowart, number 56. And in the secondary, it's Ken Irvin, Kurt Schultz, Henry Jones, and Thomas Smith. First down, 10. Hand off to Robert Edwards. Nice spin move, but he's out to the 49. A 13-yard gain. Edwards held only 24 yards on 14 carries Monday night.
I want to tell you, Vern, just like we just said, they have got to get this running game going. That means Ted Washington has to be blocked. Dave Wollebaugh working against Ted Washington. You're not going to move him far, but you got to push him and move him when you get your shots. Great job by Wollebaugh. That made the difference and opened up Robert Edwards.
13-yard gain, first down at the 49 in a scoreless first quarter. Out of the shotgun now on first down. Here's Bledsoe going deep. Up for grabs and intercepted, picked off by Thomas Smith. That is his first interception of the season.
He floated it. Drew Bledsoe, we talked about him playing in this game, and the finger, could it be a factor? Yeah, it might be a factor, but Pete Carroll's quarterback put too much air under that ball, and that's why it was intercepted.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. First Union, your guide to the financial world. And by Chevy S10, like a rock.
Thomas Smith gets the interception, his first of 1998, and that gives the Bills their second offensive set now in the first quarter. Buffalo operates from the 12-yard line. Backs in the eye. Antoine Smith, the deep back. Lonnie Johnson starts in motion and comes back to the near side. Here's Smith at right guard for 3.
When we talked to Henry Jones, the safety for the Bills, he said, hey, look, if something different happens and Bledsoe puts balls up, we have to take advantage of it. And look at Thomas Smith. He just drops his receiver, comes in across on Sean Jefferson. The ball stays up in the air too high, and he gets a hold of that ball for an interception. It does push him back, and Thomas Smith's interception is a big deal. And you want a bigger deal for the Buffalo Bills? What's the difference in their season? +8 to -18.
Second down and 6. Antoine Smith scrambled for a loose ball, recovered by Buffalo. Teddy Bruschi, number 54, makes the tackle.
Vern, from a defensive standpoint, there'll be nothing fancy, I think, about the New England Patriots. They have just got to try to be more physical than this football team. And part of that is putting the helmet on the ball by Bruschi, causes the fumble, but a lucky bounce for the Buffalo Bills. That one came right back up into Antoine Smith.
And on third down now, 3rd and 4, Buffalo will spread the field. Again, Camille Loud, the rookie, goes wide to the right side. 6 DBs in for New England. And 30 out of the shotgun. Finds Eric Moles, big gain. He's got terrific speed. And he breaks the tackle, moves it out to the 49-yard line of New England. Ty Law made the grab, but not before a 33-yard pickup.
One of the great things about an offense spreading out like this is you have to show your coverage. You have to show, are you blitzing, are you not blitzing? And you've got a big matchup right there. And you've got Wiggum trying to cover Eric Moulds out of the slot. With that much space and room, a speed receiver like an Eric Moulds runs right away from Wiggum.
Having a significant season in his 3rd year with Buffalo. Double tight end set. This is Moulds, left side. Flutie is 7 of 8. 7 of 9 as he can't find Jay Remersma. Monday on CBS, catch the new hit show that critics are calling the best new comedy of the year. It's Ted dancing like you've never seen him. An all-new Becker Monday on CBS.
There was a flag down on that play. It was thrown actually right over by Pete Carroll.
Motion, 83 of the offense. Penalties decline. 2nd down.
Penalty called on Andre Reed. And it will be 2nd down and 10. Kevin Williams and Quinn Early come on the field now for Buffalo. And Andre Reed breaks out wide to the right side. Thurman Thomas in the backfield, or in the lineup. And he is in the backfield. Thomas gets the handoff at left guard. Splits between John Fina and Reuben Brown. Picks up 1, perhaps 2. Teddy Bruschi, number 54, with the tackle.
See, that's the area of the football field that is Antoine Smith's. Antoine Smith has between the right tackle's left shoulder and the left tackle's right shoulder. He has that meat area inside. And Teddy Bruschi in this defense is looking for an Antoine Smith in there. They don't worry as much about Thurman Thomas.
Pretty common feeling that Bruschi was not all that effective 2 weeks ago.
Well, it was his first real start, you know, as a linebacker. Remember, this guy was a defensive end at Arizona in school.
5 wide receivers now for Buffalo. Flutie in the gun. Fires it deep. A flag. We might have defensive holding here or an illegal contact. Ty Law and Andre Reed colliding. Or it could be interference. Here's Walt Coleman.
Illegal contact. 24 in the defense. 5 yards. Automatic 1st down.
But you don't lead the NFL in interceptions if you're Ty Law without taking a few chances and trying to be physical. But see, being physical down the field about 10, 12 yards right in front of an official usually isn't going to work.
Sam Gash, Antoine Smith back in the lineup. Ty Law, 7 interceptions this season to lead the league. 1st and 10 Buffalo, scoreless 1st quarter. Antoine Smith inside the 40 to the 37. Chat live with 49er receiver Jerry Rice this Tuesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern on America Online at keyword Team NFL. And on the web at NFL.com.
I'm sure after his comments last week, there's going to be a lot of people who would love to chat with him.
Antoine Smith last week, 107 yards in their victory over Indianapolis. 7 out of 8 victories now after an 0-3 start for Buffalo. They entered the day tied for the AFC East lead. Here's Flutie. Fires it for Moulds, his 3rd catch of the 1st quarter. In front of Willie Clay. That's good for an 8-yard gain.
Well, the good thing about this, too, is that Doug Flutie is being blitzed. Doug Flutie's protection is getting ready to break down on that onside. Henry Thomas, Ty Law coming from the backside. So he just moves. When he moves, his receiver, Eric Moulds, moves with him. This is something you start practicing in training camp. You do all year long, and in games like this and pressure situations, to be able to keep doing it is a sign of good coaching.
Eric Moulds 3 for 49 in the early going. And a 1st and 10 Buffalo inside the 30. Out of the gun again. Here's Flutie. Goes deep left side. Incomplete. Sent his tight end, Lonnie Johnson, down the sideline.
See, that's the type of pass. Drew Bledsoe threw an interception earlier. And Doug Flutie, when we talked about Bledsoe playing with his broken finger, he says, you know, when you want to try to drop one in, that's when the touch part's the hardest thing. And Doug Flutie is trying to drop one in, and not quite enough touch on that pass. There's nothing wrong with Doug Flutie's finger. It just his drop was about a foot off.
Flutie now 8 for 10 for 76 yards. Vernon Crawford on the field now for Chris Slade. Here comes the safety blitz. Flutie back. Good blitz pickup. He comes left. Incomplete. Intended for Sam Gash, the former Patriot, for whom this is every bit as big a homecoming as Doug Flutie.
And what's great about Sam Gash is he is that dump-off receiver. But the reason he's a dump-off receiver in this case is you have got a safety coming deep. You've got Ted Johnson coming inside. Now here comes Lawyer Malloy. Pano gets Lawyer Malloy. Dusty Ziegler gets Ted Johnson. And Doug Flutie gets lonely because there's nobody back there. Good blitz pickup.
3rd and 10. Bills have owned the clock. And look at the number of plays. 19-3, but no score. 5 receivers on 3rd and 10. Flutie has a tip and caught. And that might be enough to move the chain again. Eric Moulds, Lawyer Malloy defending. But a gain of 11.
Offensive coordinator Joe Pendry of Buffalo has got to love having these weapons at his disposal. You know, I was in an offense in San Francisco with Rice and whatnot where the emphasis was on short passes, then let your guys do their thing after the catch. And there's a great example of a couple of catches Eric Moulds made today that are just basically getting him the ball and letting him do his thing. There's Joe Pendry.
And a 1st down 10 after the 11-yard gain. Flutie hands it off to Antoine Smith. Nothing doing at right guard. Chris Slade on top of the tackle. And Chad Eaton, number 90, along with Henry Thomas, who is working on extremely sore ankles.
Boy, everybody's made a big deal about Drew Bledsoe with the broken finger, and rightfully so, but Henry Thomas has had a bad high ankle sprain for quite a while now, and he basically limps around all week in a cast-type boot thing. Can't really practice, just plays. And Pete Carroll said Henry Thomas has been, you know, as much of a fire-up type inspiration for the defense as Drew Bledsoe's been for this football team.
That's Lonnie Johnson going to the right side. Flutie drops straight back, pumps once, goes for Reed in the end zone, incomplete. Steve Israel defending, and he did a good job. And Henry Thomas, the Warrior, gets back on his feet.
Well, important for Thomas, too, is he was at nose guard for a while. And he's too small, not physical enough to be a nose guard. But you put him over a guard. You let him get over Joe Panos here, and he can do what basically he did when he was with the Minnesota Vikings, and that's get into the backfield and cause problems. Did he get there that time? No. But he proved to Joe Panos, as all offensive linemen hate to have proved to him, he can get around them. You hate to know the guy can get around you.
3rd and 9, Thomas comes over to help Flutie. And then goes out into the pattern, and it's incomplete. Dusty Ziegler was there to provide blocking help. And the Patriots may have gotten away with one.
Well, you know, Doug Flutie can throw some of these all ugly passes. I mean, they're not exactly form passes. He won't throw them over you. He might throw them under your arms or over your arms, and that one didn't quite get over Henry Thomas's arms, and he's really kind of disappointed he didn't get a chance to pick that off. He had an interception this year already for a touchdown, and thought he might have had another.
Steve Christie on to try the field goal from 35 yards.
Good shot, man.
Wow. Steve Christie is now 21 of 28 for the season.
I can't do anything without the instructions. Nothing.
It's okay. She's got other...
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by IBM. Are you ready for e-business? And by DirecTV. What are you looking at?
Now take another look at that missed field goal.
Well, just sort of little bit of a yank to the left, but who do you blame when this happens? The snapper? No, I can't do that. Can't blame the holder. That's a good hold. Where the only place you got left to go is the ground. Terra firma.
Fourth play on offense now for the New England Patriots. Bledsoe intercepted the last time he threw one, and this one takes off on him and goes left. Well, there has been an ongoing debate, Randy, about whether or not Drew Bledsoe should play today. Here's Walt Coleman with a procedure call against New England.
And he's lucky that ball sailed on him, too, because they were jumping all over that pass to intercept it.
Illegal motion, 88 of the offense, moving forward at the snap, 5 yards, still first down.
Terry Glenn.
Hey, Vern, I absolutely think this is a great move by Pete Carroll and this organization. You've got a quarterback like Drew Bledsoe that did what he did Monday night, which invigorated this entire area and fan base. A wonderful win. You've got to start him here. He's your starting quarterback. His finger's broken in 2 spots. If you're not going to let him play and give this a shot, you might as well just put him on injury reserve and say, we'll see you next year.
After the 5-yard penalty, 1st and 15, Bledsoe back. That one's complete to his tight end, Ben Coates. First catch of the evening, and let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, guys, Drew Bledsoe's pregame warm-up was like a Mark McGuire batting practice. Everyone wanted to see how he would throw. The Patriots were looking for accuracy and velocity, and while pain was never going to be an issue, Bledsoe appeared to be feeling none, although he limited himself to taking just a few actual snaps from the center, guys.
Oh, that's part of the thing. That finger is going to be numb, but he's got that right hand under the center. That ball's going to slap up on it every single snap.
Handoff this time to Edwards, who is jammed up for a loss of 1. Tackle made by Sam Cowart, number 56.
And Sam Cowart's really the reason Wade Phillips is now playing so much 3-4 linebacker. You know, Holisek was in at the inside linebacker, who's not there now because of the knee, but they figured, hey, with Holisek and Cowart, we got to get both these inside linebackers on the field. And Wade Phillips has said, look, we've basically sort of dropped the 4-man line. We're a 3-man line team with these kind of inside linebackers.
3rd and 6 now for the New England Patriots. Final 30 seconds, first quarter. Terry Glenn starts in motion. Bledsoe steps up, lets it fly. Ben Coates, contact made after the attempted catch. Eric Smedley, number 40, was there, and the Patriots will have to punt.
Ben Coates just feasts on the AFC East. You pick a team, he's had a big career against them, and these are the type of plays, when you think of Drew Bledsoe and Ben Coates, these are the type of plays you think of. It's 3rd down. You've got to have the reception. You get it to your big tight end, and he doesn't catch it. Smedley with a nice job is right there, but that's one that he should have had. Coach should have gone and gotten it.
Tom Tupa sends it deep for Kevin Williams, but not terribly deep. It's grabbed at the 25. And Kevin Williams gang tackled him down at the 30-yard line. A 47-yard punt, 6 on the return, and Larry Wiggum, number 25, is down to make the tackle. Nearly the end of the first. We've got 3 seconds remaining. Scoreless so far. Scott Zolak is the backup quarterback for the Patriots. Scott in his 8th year with New England and has played in 3 games this year. Told us on Friday he's a half a snap away from playing in this one. Not a snap away, a half a snap.
One of the great jobs in America is backing up a great quarterback.
First down and 10. Flutie with a play fake. Goes short, and it's caught by Thurman Thomas, who is out of bounds at the 35-yard line. And we've reached the end of 1, a quarter dominated offensively by the Buffalo Bills, but no score. We'll return to Foxborough Stadium right after this message and a word from your local station.
The Home Depot.
We start the second in Foxborough, scoreless, Buffalo and New England. Vern Lundquist, Randy Cross, Michelle Tafoya, 2nd and 6. Doug Flutie on the draw play, hands it to Antoine Smith, who goes nowhere. Down at the 35-yard line.
Boy, Vern, I'll tell you what. Teddy Bruschi, playing an inside linebacker, just had his first meeting with Sam Gash. And Teddy Bruschi got the better part of that collision. Met the fullback right in the hole and stuffed him. I mean, you got to love what happens here. Watch 33, the fullback. There's Bruschi. bang, he stuffs him, he stands him up. Henry Thomas comes around. That's what good inside defense is all about.
And that sets up a 3rd and 6, Buffalo. Blitz coming from the Patriots. Flutie comes right behind Eric Moulds. Ty Law was right there, and it will be 4th down.
Well, it's one of the types of patterns that Doug Flutie was throwing so well in the first drive or so in the first quarter, is that short little quick pass, and it is the kind of pass that Ty Law and this defense wants to try to take away. Whether it means by coverage or blitz, they want to take that type of pass away.
Chris Canty back to return this punt, and Chris Moore on to the 2nd punt of the evening for Buffalo.
Okay, let him go, let him go.
Short, fair catch, Canty. Dives under it, grabs it at the 33.5-yard line. A 32-yard punt for Chris Moore, nothing on the return. And in the early moments of the second quarter, the Patriots have the ball. Patriot defenders get a rest now as New England's offense on the field. Still looking for the first down. Drew Bledsoe with the broken index finger. 2 of 4, 18 yards, and 1 interception. Handoff goes to Robert Edwards, who tries to dart outside. Caught and dropped by Phil Hansen, the quietly effective defensive end in his 8th season. Monday on CBS, a man with 6 weeks left to live wants a radical treatment. Now one doctor will take an unforgettable road trip to Mexico for a last-ditch chance at life. An all-new LA Doctors Monday on CBS. 13:40 to go first half, 2nd and 13. Battle between these two with significant playoff implications as the season winds down. Out of the shotgun, Bledsoe with a lot of time comes left and makes it complete to Tony Carter. Out of the backfield and up the sidelines at the 45-yard line.
You know, one of the things, Vern, this offense has done a good job of is finding ways to get to the ball to the running back in the passing game different ways. Tony Carter, bottom of the screen, lined up as a wide receiver. Made a big reception last week. Makes another good one this week. But the reason Bledsoe had all that time is you've got Bruce Armstrong, a couple of old friends going against each other. And look at Denson, 61, the left guard, making his first start, getting his chance to get a shot at Bruce Smith. But Bruce Smith will not see much one-on-one with Bruce Armstrong.
First down and 10. That's Terry Glenn in motion. Wide to the right. Bledsoe pumps twice. Got wide open. Terry Glenn all by himself. A busted defensive play by Buffalo. 34 yards.
Well, if you're Drew Bledsoe right now, you got to kind of say, how do you like my broken finger now? I got one to the left in the flat. If you think so little of me, you're going to leave people wide open. Even I, with a broken hand, can get a ball to a guy like Terry Glenn in that type of space. And this is what this offense needs to do. It needs to set up some sort of running game with an aggressive passing game.
Well, Terry Glenn, realizing that there was a mistake defensively, immediately called for the ball. And Bledsoe found him, gain of 34. Tony Carter split out again. Here's Bledsoe from the gun. Goes left for Coates at the 10.
You know, as a tight end, Ben Coates is one of the professional wrestling champions of the NFL. He can get in there and push down defensive back, push down linebackers. But in this case, he's right behind Marlo Perry. He goes under Henry Jones, the safety, trying to make the tackle, but he is Drew Bledsoe's money guy.
Sean Jefferson, top of the screen. On first down, draw play, Robert Edwards goes right, left, and then back toward the middle. And after all of those moves, nada.
Well, and that's why you've seen the Patriots throwing the ball the way they are. I mean, this offensive line as a group, just pure flat, is not physical enough to deal with Bruce Smith and Ted Washington and Phil Hansen in the front of this Buffalo defense. They've got to take angles. They've got to take cute little blocks. I hate to use the word finesse, but they got to use kind of a finesse blocking style.
Oh, go ahead.
That used to kill me. If you can't run straight ahead, you need to block finesse.
Second and goal at the 8, double tight end set. Play action, Bledsoe drills it incomplete. Flag in the end zone. The pass intended for Jefferson with Ken Irvin defending.
Interference on the defense. Number 27. Play at the 1-yard line. First and
There's the word coverage, which is sort of to be closely associated with or near the receiver. I don't believe he ever got unassociated with Sean Jefferson on that one.
Well, there are several degrees of separation.
None of them were experienced.
No, those weren't 6. Handoff up in the air. Loose ball. Gabe Northern made the initial contact.
They're still wrestling. Whoever the first guy is that had that ball, I don't think he's got it now.
Wade Phillips trying to urge them on. And the scrum is...
Look at here on the bottom.
Yes.
Look at this. The hat's gone. He's under the pile. That's doing the work. I mean, our umpire, Garth DeFelice, crawled all the way underneath this pile to get down there with him. That shows me something. That's working. I mean, anybody can stand outside that dog pile and just kind of say, well, we'll figure it out when they come out with the ball. But here's the reason. Because you got good physical defense. Gabe Northern gets up there, takes out Edwards' legs. The ball's stripped out from the low angles. You see Bledsoe take the ball, Edwards take to the air, and Gabe Northern saying, and the ball keeps going after Edwards stops. The ball's on top of the pile. It made it to the bottom of the pile.
Second and goal. Edwards denied again. Recall that he opened the season with that string of games in which he scored touchdowns.
Well, you know, Sean Price was there, and he was there now. And you see the difference in the running games. And, you know, yeah, you can say the receivers were hurt and we had to run the ball more. Well, this is the NFL, and let's not talk about injuries. If you have to run the ball more, you got to be able to do it well. And this is a long season for a rookie, and it makes it even longer when the offensive line in front of you is letting people free, like Mark Price on that last play.
Third and goal. From the 2, Bledsoe lofts it out for Edwards. Touchdown! That is his second receiving touchdown this season.
And if you're Pete Carroll and the Patriots, you got away with one on a fumble. You slammed your head against the wall again, and then you wised up and said, well, this method isn't working. Let's feed him in with a play-action fake, and let's dump the ball off to the rookie. And it's really the edge. Robert Edwards has shown Pete Carroll he can be a full running back, much like Curtis Martin was in this offense, receiving the ball also.
Adam Vinatieri on for the extra point. And the New England Patriots, a big pass play. Bledsoe to Terry Glenn set it up. Then Robert Edwards scored the touchdown.
Great.
Here's the matchup. Edwards, Coward. Watch the young linebacker trying to stay with the rookie. A lot of traffic. You bring the motion and the tight end Ben Coates. He gets a little shot on Coward to prevent him. A moving pick if you're doing basketball, but that was good for 6 points.
Kevin Williams awaits the kickoff. It's short. He grabs it at the 10. Shakes a tackle at the 25 and is bounced out of bounds at the 31-yard line by Chris Carter. 66-yard scoring drive. Robert Edwards got the touchdown, half of those yards on the pass from Bledsoe to Terry Glenn.
On CBS is sponsored by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers. Citizen. Citizen is how the world tells time. And by Wendy's new Steakhouse Bacon Cheeseburger.
Rather pleasant weekend here in New England, and right now let's take a look at the CBS Sportsline question of the week. Which quarterback today would you pick to lead your team in the 2-minute drill? Would it be John Elway, Brett Favre, Dan Marino, or Steve Young? Log on to vote at CBSSportsline.com and on America Online at keyword CBS Sportsline. Terry Glenn, 33-yard catch to set up the touchdown catch by Robert Edwards. Now Doug Flutie hands it on. Play action. Flutie with time, dances, sacked at the 18-yard line. Greg Spires, number 94, and Barry Collins, number 92.
Well, this is one of those pass rushes where the defensive linemen say, okay, guys, cover him for as long as you can, because we may not get there right away, and we may not get there clean, but if you cover him long enough, we're going to get there. That's an 11-man sack right there, and the reason it happens down the field is you've got Andre Reed trying to get open, and you've got Steve Israel saying no. And one of the good things for this defense, too, for New England has been the recent health of Steve Israel being able to play like that.
Loss of 10, second and 20. Here's Flutie, quick setup, batted backwards. And Flutie goes down in the arms of Chad Eaton. Teddy Bruschi made contact with the ball.
Well, Teddy Bruschi ran into his problems 2 weeks ago when Flutie was scrambling on some of the runs, being out of position. But he knows, like a defensive lineman and a former, in his case, defensive lineman, is that you jump up, even if you don't get there, you can knock it down. And Chad Eaton is the one who was putting all that pressure, like you said, on Doug Flutie.
3rd and 20. Dusty Ziegler looks back at Flutie. Lets it go, got it. Remersma, but not enough for the first down. He is out of bounds at the 33. Tackle made by Tabucky Jones and Lawyer Malloy. Malloy, number 36, excuse me.
Now, Vern, when this defense gets on the sideline, though, Pete Carroll and the defensive coaches are going to tell those defensive linemen, look, you see what Doug Flutie just did? The way he stepped up around that pass rush and was able to make that completion? I don't want to see that again. And that's exactly what Flutie in this offense wants to see happen. They want to drive a Teddy Bruschi trying to rush up the field and open up an area for Flutie to get out and try to create.
Chris Canty on to return the punt of Chris Moore. This is his 3rd punt of the evening. Nice and high. Canty has it at the 22, got some room. Has some more room, gets a block across the 50 and down at the 46. A 30-yard counterpunch by Chris Canty.
Team right now, Vern, is playing with a lot of emotion. A lot of bleed over from that Monday night.
Good field position for the Patriots.
Sunday's fun day.
Hey. Sunday's fun day.
Hey, let's get this thing going today, man.
Consider the amount of concentration it takes to keep your eye on the ball as a returner long enough and have faith that your blockers will open you holes just like this. Nice job by this Patriots punt return team executing their game plan and what Dante Scarnecchia and the special teams coach asked them to do. Give Chris Canty just some room. They gave him a lot of room on that one.
30-yard punt return, first down at the 47. Drew Bledsoe has connected on his last 4 passes. And he'll try to make it 5 in a row. Left side, caught by Derek Cullors, gets a terrific block from David Dixon, number 61, who gets his first start today.
And Gabe Northern just puts a severe end to this play. These are the kind of hits that are perfectly clean and that people love to see. Look at Northern come in here with the shoulder right into Cullors' chest. That's wonderful football. Using the head, taking the cheap shots and the punches, that's not football. That's good defense.
2nd down and 7. Terry Glenn in motion. Robert Edwards bounces to his left, but there's not much there. He's down at the 41-yard line. And that will bring up a 3rd down. Well, we continue with our coverage of the NFL next Sunday. A doubleheader for you. Randy and I will be in Pittsburgh as these Patriots take on the Steelers. Others will see Seattle and the Jets, Buffalo, Cincinnati, San Diego, Washington, and Kansas City, Denver, game 2. And it all begins with the NFL Today, 12 noon Eastern time on CBS.
So much for that Jets letting down against a bad team theory, huh?
Pretty impressive victory today. Here's Bledsoe, has a man. First down at the 29, Terry Glenn. Well, this team went 4-1 to open the season. Then they started losing wide receivers because of injury, among them Terry Glenn, who was gone for a month.
That's Terry Glenn working in the slot. What a great guy to get in the air. And look at all the air around him. No defenders running into a zone. This is when Terry Glenn can be his most dangerous. When you get him in the air, defenses start playing up, and then he can use that speed and run down the field. But 3 for 54, a pretty good start. Vern, keep an eye on the left guard spot. Denson, 61, got up limping pretty good after that last play.
And he is on in place of Heath Irwin today, who's on the inactive list. Here's Bledsoe down the middle, tight end. Ben Coates, third catch, first down.
Much like you talk about Elway and you talk about Marino, and they can throw to body parts. Well, as Drew Bledsoe takes this snap right into that bad right hand with that broken index finger, think of the fact that you got a big target like Ben Coates. You don't have to throw it into the shoulder. You're just throwing it right in between those two shoulder blades, somewhere in the 8 and the 7, and your tight end's going to get it. That's a great target to throw to.
Fractured right index finger for Drew Bledsoe. He's hit 7 in a row. And he operates from the shotgun blitz. Throws it deep for Coates in the end zone. Henry Jones defending, and the streak ends.
Well, that's the case of Wade Phillips' defense with Kurt Scholes in the safety blitz, making Drew Bledsoe just throw that a little bit sooner than he wanted to. That blitz gives Bledsoe a little more time to stand back there. Watch Scholes coming right here. If he doesn't get there this fast, I think Drew Bledsoe's able to dial it in. You have to credit the defense on that one.
Careful of the finger. Second and 10. Finds his running back Robert Edwards, a modest gain to the 13-yard line, and that will set up a third down. Well, it was, of course, a brilliant, epical drive for the Patriots on Monday night. They go 80 yards in 15 plays, 2 fourth-down conversions, and at 1:55, Bledsoe fractured his index finger, and I think the perception of Drew Bledsoe has been altered perhaps forever because of that performance.
Well, yeah, and I've been around some of the big games where people said he's not tough enough to do this or tough enough to do that, and he can't win the big game. For this franchise, that was a huge game, and he proved last Monday night he's plenty tough enough.
3rd and 6. Corner blitz coming. Smedley. He finds Derek Cullors. Touchdown.
Well, for Monday night, it was just a drive. And a couple of bad passes that Wade Phillips saw on tape. And Pete Carroll's quarterback threw, and then threw the big one for the touchdown. Today, he's got it going on, and he's accurate like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that finger. He's had one floater, but the rest have been right on the money.
Adam Vinatieri will try and make it a 14-0 New England lead. First touchdown of the season for number 29, Derek Cullors. Second touchdown throw of the night for Drew Bledsoe.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by GMC Sierra, for those who demand more from a truck, and by Payne Weber. Thank you, Payne Weber, for the advice.
4:37 to go, first half. New England 14-0 over Buffalo. Last drive capped by the touchdown toss. Drew Bledsoe to Derek Cullors, 47 yards, set up by the 30-yard punt return of Chris Canty. And now Kevin Williams waits for Vinatieri's kick. Grabs it at the 10. Another short kickoff. But very good downfield coverage by the Patriots. to Bucky Jones with the tackle.
On that last touchdown, watch Colors come in through the middle and then out, and watch the linebacker, Marlo Perry, trying to stay with him. This is a tough order because you got the running back picking his spot. You come up too far, you get behind him, and after about the fourth step, for as much tape as you just saw, that matchup was over.
Conversations of a defensive nature taking place on the Buffalo bench.
That's Ted Cottrell, the defensive coordinator of the Bills, going over with his defensive backs for coverage.
Here's Flutie out of the shotgun, comes right incomplete. Down low, intended for Eric Moles. Now Buffalo owned the football in the first quarter. They went 10 plays before punting, and then a missed field goal at the end of a 14-play drive, but now back-to-back 3-and-outs.
Well, after the second series, New England only run 6 plays. Then they go punt, and New England goes touchdown, touchdown.
Tis a study in contrast, tis. Foxborough, Massachusetts. Midway through the second quarter, New England leading 14-zip. Here's Flutie on 2nd and 10. Knocked down again, second time that a pass has been batted back. This time, Chris Sullivan, number 74.
You know, Doug Flutie is like a major league pitcher. He's got about 4 or 5 different delivery points. He'll throw it over the top, he'll throw sidearm, or he'll throw in between. That one's over the top, and Chris Sullivan, 74, leaps up. In fact, he leaps up so high it ends up hitting him in the chest.
Flutie started out 8 of 10, and he's hit only 3 of his last 11.
And somehow, either by coverage, blitz, or defensive linemen, they've taken away those outside passes from the Buffalo Bills.
Blitz coming. Flutie goes deep for Moles, incomplete. Flag is thrown. It was a late flag. Chris Canty was the defender.
It was a late pull. It wasn't a late flag. Had the official going for it. Just couldn't get it out.
Interference on the defense, number 26. Automatic.
Now,
First down.
from our view here, it looked like Pete Carroll's defensive back had the position, and Moles went through Canty to get to this football. Canty, 26, just reaches back. I think, you know, if this is baseball, or basketball, it's a ticky-tack foul.
That's a no call. Antoine Smith, after a 26-yard penalty, gives Buffalo rejuvenation and a 9-yard gain there. Coming up at halftime, the NASDAQ Amex halftime report. Jim Nance, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and Mike Lombardi for all the scores and highlights, all coming up on the NASDAQ Amex halftime report. 2nd and 1, 14-zip, 3:48 to go before the break. Flutie handoff, Antoine Smith, a fresh series of downs inside the 39.
And when you've got a quarterback like Doug Flutie, there's never really a sense of panic. There's a sense of urgency, but I mean, heck, his career in the NFL right now has got a severe sense of urgency because he stayed in Canada for those 8 or 9 years, so he's got to try to prove it now. But this football team, though, needs to have that sense of urgency to get points here at the end of the half. We're going to be under 3 minutes pretty soon. They've got to get points here.
1st and 10, trailing by 14. Here comes the blitz. Antoine Smith heading to his right, turns the corner, and moves it inside the 30. Being chased by a trio of tacklers for New England. He picks up 10.
They brought the blitz from the backside. Willie Clay must have ran 60 yards on this play. Look at Willie Clay with the red sleeves right here. Come all the way around. Here is a lot of work, a lot of effort just for exercise, because Antoine Smith gets the corner, gets the yards, and moves him into at least what is probably field goal position.
1st and 10 at the 27-yard line. Make it the 28. Play action. Bootleg by Flutie. Had a man deep. Settles short for Moles, and he's got the grab inside the 20 at the 19-yard line in front of Ty Law. Andre Reed was waving frantically near the goal line.
Well, Andre Reed is one of those receivers like the great ones, the Irvins and and the Jerry Rices and, and the whoever you want, the Sharps, they're always open.
Of course.
I mean, they're never covered. He was covered.
2nd and 1. They try to get a play off before the 2-minute warning, and they are unsuccessful. Clock stops. 120 ticks of the clock to go first half.
Look at something. Check this out. As the play moves, follow Andre Reed, but keep track of where Doug Flutie is. Now, if we stop it right about here, here's Reed. He's open. But look at this group of guys right here. Doug Flutie just can't see him.
2nd and 1. Reamer's in motion. They toss it to Antoine Smith. He tries to turn the corner on Willie Clay. Stiff arm. And looks like he might have enough to move the chain.
Had a little clutch step there on the spot.
Yes.
It was one of those, you know, left little dance wiggles. And the dance wiggle went to the right foot, and the right foot gave him the first down. But Willie Clay, I think, was a little bit surprised by the speed he saw at Antoine Smith. You know, he reads newspaper articles, too. He listens to guys like us that say, Thurman's a speed guy, and Antoine's a power guy. Well, Antoine just showed him a little bit of the speed he had when Doug Flutie flipped him that ball.
Flutie using the measurement time now to come over and chat on the sideline.
Doug Flutie's gotten the lion's share of the credit here as the Bills get themselves that first down for what's happened offensively, and rightfully so. He's been a huge factor, but the gentleman he's talking to right there, Joe Pendry, new offensive coordinator, that's made a big difference. But in my opinion, and maybe I'm a little prejudiced about this, not having been a former quarterback, but this offensive line that's playing in Joe Pendry's offense has done a great job, because these guys couldn't play dead last year, and now they're a huge factor. A lot of that has to do with their offensive line coach, Carl Baum.
1st and 10 after the measurement. Flutie straight drop back. That is an incomplete pass at the 15-yard line. Antoine Smith juggling as he was nailed from behind.
Well, you know, Pete Carroll thinks he had a turnover for his defense right there. And, you know, the term life is timing, it really applies when you're a defender, because you have to have the right timing to get there at the right time. And look at Ted Johnson and the timing he had as that ball was sort of like half trapped on the side of Antoine Smith.
Heard Mike Lombardi on the NFL Today say he thinks replay is coming back next year.
And I'm glad somebody talked about that. I'm glad it was Mike, obviously, but that's been something that somebody's had to step up and make a comment about that. It's overdue.
2nd and 10. Flutie bumps and scrambles. Looks for Andre Reed. And Reed comes back. A flag is down.
Andre Reed stepped out of bounds and then was the first person to touch the ball when he came back in. Lawyer Malloy applauding that, but you see the skid mark by the hat? The hat's on the ground, and there's a skid mark where his cleats hit the grass and drug out there, and the hat's dropped right on it. See this right here next to the hat? That skid mark out of bounds? Andre Reed's foot made that mark as he was going out of bounds.
Illegal touching. Nice eyes. Oh, a little skid mark there.
He's got his hat, he's got his flag.
And we're going to get an explanation.
And sometime this week, a grounds crew member will take care of that skid mark.
Hope this comes before 60 minutes.
Illegal touching on 83 of the offense. He went out of bounds and came in and was first to touch the ball. 3rd down.
Steve Israel. Little hand fighting with Andre Reed. Watch the foot. Right there. Out of bounds. Makes the mark and comes back in.
3rd down. Shotgun. Flutie. Shovel pass. Goes to Kevin Williams, but they deny him much progress. Can you say Lee Groscup somebody?
Well, you know, and Pete Carroll's defense has seen this type of play from Doug Flutie and the Buffalo Bills, so you know they practice this during the week. Here's a good sign of good game planning, good execution, and an obvious sign that your defensive players listened.
That shovel pass made famous by Lee Groscup when he quarterbacked the University of Utah just a few years ago. Try and get off the schneid now with a field goal. Steve Christie, who missed one earlier.
Remember, the ground messed him up last time.
That's right. Chris Moore will hold. Ethan Albright is the snapper. Oh, boy. Ricochet romance, and it goes through. My gosh. Something about that distance, 34, 35 yards.
Yeah, this might be going out on a limb, but I think Steve needs to aim a little bit more to the right. He's getting that draw working pretty good. It's not quite a hook, but then it hits that tree and goes out of bounds. Fortunately for him, the out of bounds was in between the yellow markers. And this ends up in a field goal. And if you're a kicker, how do you react to this? Never a doubt. I was in the heart the whole way. I can't wait. Yeah, that's a half-hearted arms in the air good. How about on the other side? No, we thought we filed those things. You know, you get up there with a ladder and they file those uprights. It's supposed to bounce the other way.
Not exactly a gathering filled with evangelistic fervor there. Nobody reacting much at all. And Wade Phillips' team does get 3 off a left upright for Steve Christie, a 34-yard field goal. 60-yard drive, 11 plays.
And very importantly, though, Vern, they got the points. They got the points after early frustrations and multiple plays. They got some points to show for it. You got Doug Flutie at quarterback. You're never out of the ball game. And the team believes in this quarterback and knows he can lead them back from almost any type of a deficit.
Wade Phillips, Ted Cottrell, John Lever, line coach, longtime assistant in the left side. Derek Cullers is the neat man.
The New England Patriots are in sort of a half pooch kick type formation on the kickoff return team. They're set up here in the shorter areas. Look at this area right in here. You got a couple players. That's prime pooch kick area. You put it over the first line and you try to drop it in where the other guys can't get to it.
How do you decide what's prime and what's not?
Well, those are pooch backs.
Okay.
Pooch backs getting prime territory.
Having a slight delay here, a problem with the play clock. That has been fixed. There's Canty on the right. And Derek Cullers, number 29, who had a touchdown grab from Drew Bledsoe earlier in the quarter. And Christie's kick. Derek Cullers at the 9-yard line. Nice open field tackle at the 23. So Buffalo has 3 timeouts left. The New England Patriots have 2, and they've got the ball. And I just want to get your comments again about the effort of Drew Bledsoe in this first half.
So impressive. I mean, here's a guy that, for all intents and purposes, was just trying to make an effort, just trying to get out here and do something. He did practice a little bit on Friday, and they were very happy with the fact they thought he might be able to play. But I don't think this performance, 11 of 14 for 2 touchdowns in the first half, was anywhere near the dreams of Pete Carroll and his coaching staff. They just wanted him to be just effective.
Now, Bruce Smith, chatting with us last night, was among those who said of Drew Bledsoe's Monday night performance, very, very impressive. There's Bledsoe across the middle to the 30-yard line. Ben Coates with another grab.
And the biggest difference he's made in his delivery is you won't see him snapping and jamming the ball on a quick throw. Watch his arm. A lot longer, more elongated type motion.
Right side for Coates, and the grab is made. Tackle by Henry Jones.
And there's a matchup that's got a little history. Ben Coates and Henry Jones. And Henry Jones knows when you play against a Ben Coates, you don't know what to do, whether you're supposed to do taekwondo, lift weights, or do self-defense, because he knows that big tight end can mug a defensive back.
And they will measure and take the chains across the field. Halftime report, Jim Nantz, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and Michael Lombardi. Scores and highlights from around the league as we play the final Sunday in November and get set for the stretch run of the 1998 National Football League season.
And in this AFC East, it is going to be a stretch run, if not a photo finish. This thing is going right down to the end, because every one of these teams have got some significant games and some awful good ball clubs coming up down the road in December.
That one good for a first down. The catch by Coates.
Now the key here is the spot itself. How far forward Ben Coates and the ball gets before Henry Jones knocks him back. That was, I would categorize that on the generous side as far as the spot goes.
Here's Bledsoe with time. Goes to Terry Glenn at the 40-yard line. The catch made by Glenn and the tackle from Donovan Greer, number 25. And Bledsoe calls timeout. That leaves the Patriots with one timeout left and 36 seconds on the clock. 56 yards for a TD and 47.
You're up 14-3, though. You're being aggressive. I like this aggressive offense from Pete Carroll's offense here at the end, but greed is not good at this point.
Bledsoe being chased, lets it go, incomplete. Ball was juggled by Derek Cullors as he was hit by Ken Irvin, number 27.
And Derek Cullors has taken a couple pretty good shots. He made that one good catch and got himself a touchdown. But Drew Bledsoe delivers this ball sort of half wobbling. And Derek Cullors is worrying more about running down the field and whether or not Ken Irvin is coming to hit him than he is on concentrating and catching that ball.
One timeout left for the Patriots. Buffalo does have its full complement of 3. Third down and 4. 14-3. Bledsoe with 2 touchdown throws. One to Edwards, one to Cullors. Stunts by the defensive line. Bledsoe nailed and down. Marcellus Wiley, number 75, gets his second sack of the season.
Well, Marcellus Wiley and Bruce Smith get back there to Drew Bledsoe. They're bringing the blitz. They're bringing the stunt. And Marcellus Wiley gets in on top of it, and Bruce Smith finishes him off. In fact, Bonnie Bernstein had a nice feature in the NFL today about that sort of passing the torch between Marcellus Wiley and Bruce Smith, among others.
Next Saturday, NASDAQ Amex College Football will feature one of the most illustrious rivalries in all of sport. The Cadets and the Middies clash in the Army-Navy game. Join CBS for all the excitement of this uniquely American spectacle. Patriots have to give it up. 4th down. Tom Tupa on the punt. And Kevin Williams waits the ball at the 20-yard line.
In this part of the field, in this situation, directional kick. Late in the half, don't do anything dumb and give him a low one where he can return it.
Flags before the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense number 34, 5 yards, still 4th down.
To Bucky Jones, number 34, who is really coming on in his first year as a cornerback. 2nd-round draft pick out of Syracuse.
Well, the majority of his contributions have been here on special teams so far. He's slowly being worked into the defense, but that would qualify as one of those dumb things you're not supposed to do in a situation at the end of the half.
And that one can be returned, but not very far. Kevin Williams to the 37-yard line. The tackle made by Sean Stuckey. 3-yard return of a 41-yard punt, and Doug Flutie comes back on. You know, he was one of those who didn't think Drew Bledsoe would be able to throw the ball. Flutie was showing us yesterday he has a one-time broken knuckle on the middle finger of his throwing hand.
And he described it as, you know, he says your middle finger is your power hand, power finger. The right finger when you're throwing is the touch finger, and that's the one Drew Bledsoe has the brace on and has it taped up, and he's shown some good touch so far.
Flutie had the hot start, has settled down, but got his team into field goal range last time they had the ball. Steps up, lets it go deep, has a man open. Kevin Williams inside the 10 and down to the 7. Timeout called by Buffalo with 8 seconds left.
You don't think this Buffalo Bills offense isn't absolutely positive with Doug Flutie as your quarterback, that you're never really out of it? You've got timeouts. You got 18 seconds. And you can almost see the little Z's in the screen as the New England Patriots defense sleeps and lets the receivers get down the field. What are you thinking? Kevin Williams gets down the field, You've got Larry Wiggum coming over from the safety spot, but Steve Israel, as he dumped him off, and Doug Flutie spotted it immediately and goes for the quick timeout.
And the time called with 8 seconds should leave them time with 1 shot at the end zone. If they decide they don't get it, to go for the field goal. 8 seconds.
This part of the field, Vern, watch out for Jay Remersma, the tight end. Been a real weapon in the red zone for the Bills.
And he is tight to the right side. Flutie almost picked off. Teddy Bruschi had it in both hands.
And guess where he was going? To Remersma, the tight end. Right over the ball, right over the middle of the field, and Teddy Bruschi is there to knock it down. Watch Remersma get up here and get into the end zone. Canty is just trying to physically push the guy away, but Flutie tries to fit it in, but Bruschi gets it right there. That's a nice play by Bruschi and good anticipation by the Patriots defense.
Steve Christie kicks this one true. 26-yard field goal.
There's Doug Flutie. He sees his big tight end the whole way. And Teddy Bruschi in the defense sees Doug Flutie seeing him the whole way, and the ball slips through his hands. But another case of game planning and knowing what the other guy does well.
26-yard field goal ends the half after the 56-yard pass play. Coming up on the NASDAQ MX halftime report. Jim Nance, Marcus Allen, Brett Jones, Mike Lombardi. That's all coming up on the NASDAQ MX halftime report.
CBS Tonight. It started as a crosstown cab ride.
Where to?
North. 3,000 miles later,
I saw it on a cable show.
it became the adventure
Yoo-hoo! We may have a hostage situation.
that touched America's hearts.
You're very photogenic.
Jason Begay
To life.
and Maureen O'Hara. Cab to Canada. CBS Tonight.
20 who changed our lives and the world. People of the century. CBS News Time 100. Wednesday.
The address is CBS.
Welcome home.
Now you can get dental coverage, plus vision coverage, chiropractic care without a referral, and more. Encompass Select from Independent Health.
The mighty Chrysler. The 300 idea is the idea of a powerful, responsive, nimble automotive machine.
The all-new 99 Chrysler 300M, the most powerful sports sedan in its class.
As long as I've worked on this engine, I still get a tingle every time we open the hood.
The Chrysler 300M. The technology has changed, but the soul lives on. Lease the all-new Chrysler 300M for just $399 a month.
Hello. Here's our new cellular offer. Exclusive of activation and roaming fees.
What?
Weekday peak minutes from 9 to 1 and 6 to 10. Only for
Cellular phone offers are not always clear. But ever since Sprint PCS built the only all-digital nationwide network, everything is clear, including the offer.
Hello? Sprint PCS is now just $30 for 200 minutes anytime.
Wonderful.
Hello? Of course, all rates are based on the length
Sprint PCS. Right now, just $1 a day.
Who's that laughing?
Now you can get vision coverage, plus dental coverage, chiropractic care without a referral, and more. Encompass Select from Independent Health.
Carol Jason at 5, 6, and 11, only on News 4.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ MX halftime report is sponsored by the NASDAQ MX Market Group, the market of markets.
All right, welcome back to CoinGate headquarters. Jim Nance with you on the NASDAQ Amex halftime report. And at halftime, the Bills trail behind Bledsoe's big start to the day. The debate raged on the NFL today. Brent Jones is here, along with Marcus Allen and Michael Lombardi with us as well today. And how about this first half by Bledsoe? Who would have thought?
You really got to admire him. He threw that interception early on. He came back. He's thrown a couple of touchdown passes. That finger doesn't look to be bothering him too much, and it's a real big risk to have your quarterback in there. But I think if the Patriots start that playoff run, they're going to look back to that big Monday night heroic performance by Drew Bledsoe as the turning point in their season.
Bledsoe 14 out of 18, 140 yards and the 2 touchdown tosses. Elsewhere in the NFL today, let's check it out. Saints have managed only 52 total yards, but they picked off Dan Marino. Rob Kelly did, ran it back 79 yards for a touchdown. And the Dolphins are driving here right before the half of the game, knotted at 10. Oilers and Seahawks go to the third. Only field goals here. And Seattle has seen the Oilers' time of possession advantage at 2-1. Moon out, Kitna in. And how about Kitna's performance here?
Put pressure like they wanted to. Obviously, through interception to Nard Walker right there. They want to put pressure on him, Jim, and that's what they're going to do all day.
Meanwhile, Aaron McNair, it's not easy for him either up there in the King Dome. But the Seahawks trying to apply the pressure on the Oiler quarterback.
Great coverage downfield. They get pressure. Michael Sinclair gets a sack.
Well, 0-4 this year. Seattle, when trailing at halftime, and it trailed today 6-3. It remains that way. Redskins on top of the Raiders. Trent Green has thrown 2 touchdown passes. Eagles with 3 first downs, but they've thrown a touchdown to a wide receiver for the first time this year. Coy Detmer with the touchdown toss just a moment ago, and now they go to the half with a 10-6 lead there for the Packers. Jacksonville, first time in franchise history, wins at Cincinnati. Mark Brunell, 1 week after his career worst performance, today a career-high 4 touchdowns, 1 per quarter.
Here you see Neil O'Donnell off the bench to Tony McGee for single coverage. He sparked the Bengals, brought him within 3, but that was, Jim, as close as they would get, because you're going to see Keenan McCardle go up here on a Brunell pass, get the ball at the highest point. That's what you're taught in high school. Get that ball at the highest point.
Our locker room is great now. You know, we know what we have to do. It's a stretch run. It's November, December. That's when the great teams step up.
Jags now with a 2-game advantage over Pittsburgh, and the Bengals have lost 7 in a row. Colts' first trip to Baltimore since pulling out in March of 1984. The mandate was out there from Art Modell, the owner of the Ravens. We have to win this game today, and they had to withstand an unbelievable effort by Peyton Manning. 355 and 3 touchdown passes by the rookie.
Well, Marshall Faulk in his contract here, he's the money man on that play, beats a double team. What are the Ravens doing?
And the Ravens ran through the Colts in the fourth quarter like it was a skeleton defense. It was Priest Holmes over 100 for the 2nd straight week. And the Ravens win for the 2nd straight time. First time that's happened this season. 2 straight wins. Hey, after the game, Jim Harbaugh gave the game ball to Johnny Unitas, who was on the Baltimore sideline pulling for the Ravens today. Jets pummel the Panthers. They spread the ball around today. Everybody looked like they had the football in their hands at one time. And the Jets are now 8-4 with the victory.
Well, you want to have your offense operating on all cylinders when it comes December. And here's Curtis Martin. He's operating on all cylinders, taking it right past the Carolina defense, cuts back across the field, 60-yard touchdown run, looking sharp.
Martin over 1,000 on the season, and the Jets owner Leon Hess on Thanksgiving said, hey, this is going to be our year when he addressed the team. And look at Keyshawn Johnson on the reverse. He got in, and he talked with our Bobby
Curtis Martin's exceeded the 1,000-yard mark, rushing for the 4th time in his career. But look at Keyshawn Johnson. What are you trying to steal some of his thunder on the ground with your first rushing TD?
No, really. It's just something that we've been working on for quite a while and trying to, get it in our game plan. And once the flow of traffic was going with Curtis to the right a bunch, we decided to go back with me to the left.
Well, the Jets win their 5th straight at home. It's the first time that's happened. 5 straight home wins since 1986. Atlanta and the Rams, there was going to be no coin flip controversy here, I promise you, because before the game, the Falcons made it very clear. Heads was the call. And Mike, how about this? Steve DeBerg.
Hey, Steve DeBerg came off the bench, made a great throw to Terrence Mathis. He took the place of Tony Graziano, who was taking the place of Chris Chandler. Hey, the Falcons won this game today because Jamal Anderson ran the ball effectively, and their defense harassed Steve Bono, who was replacing Tony Banks.
Anderson 188. The Falcons clinch a playoff berth, just the 3rd team to do that. And Reeves becomes only the 2nd coach, joining Chuck Knox. Only coaches to take 3 different teams to the playoffs. Arizona falls to 6-6. Chiefs in a 6-game losing streak. Gannon 3 touchdown passes. 3 touchdown passes, Trent Dilfer. But 1 to remember on the last play of the first half. Look at the Bears. This just stunned them. The game was tied 14-all at this point.
Our own Mike Lombardi says you can't come from out of bounds and come back in and catch the ball. What you're going to see Bryce Hunter do it right here, but you can if the ball's tipped. You see him come from right out of bounds right here. The ball's up, but the ball hits the ground. That's supposed to be an incomplete pass, Jim, in the National Football League.
It went as a touchdown, though.
Bring back replay.
Mr. Replay, he was begging for it on the NFL today.
You brought it back on the NFL today. The NFL on CBS will continue in just a moment.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Amex Halftime Report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets.
Right. News 4.
14-6 New England as we get set for the kickoff of the third quarter. And a very, very impressive, not to be redundant, but it really was for Drew Bledsoe.
It really was, because Drew Bledsoe and the offense got off to a slow start. He looked like he was floating the ball. He had an interception. What's he do? Comes out and just starts nailing them. And also, more importantly, is the fact that after also a slow start, the New England defense found a way to take those outside passes away from Doug Flutie, keep that offense more in the middle of the field, and really limited their effectiveness, except for one blown coverage at the end. They gave up that last field goal.
Yeah, 1/4 of those 207 yards came on that last play to Kevin Williams that set up the field goal. So 14-6 as we get set for the start of the third quarter. Steve Christie, who is 2 of 3 on field goal attempts, will kick it to either Derek Cullors or Chris Canty. Cullors will be the deep man. Cullors will grab this at the 11 and moves it out to the 28-yard line. And right now we'll check in with Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Vern, Randy, Wade Phillips told me at halftime, hey, we made a couple of mistakes early in the first half that allowed them to score, but we've stopped them since, and it's a close game. We're not out of this thing. As for the Patriots, Pete Carroll told me he was disappointed they gave up a field goal right before halftime. He said that never should have happened. And the emphasis of his halftime speech, you cannot give up anything to Doug Flutie and the Buffalo Bills.
All right, we'll see if it proves costly, Michelle. First down for the Patriots at the 29-yard line.
And I might have stressed a little bit, too. Hey, our quarterback's playing great, but we can't run the ball with 13 yards in the first half.
Bledsoe goes right. Catch is made by Tony Carter, who had split out wide to the right side.
And that's something this offense is doing, is being very effective getting the ball to the running backs. First in the first half, it was Robert Edwards catching this touchdown. Then it was Derek Cullors outrunning Marlo Perry into the end zone for the second touchdown. But it's not just catching the ball out of the backfield. You saw Carter there at the right split end. Earlier, he was at left split end. Robert Edwards last week caught a big ball down the field from the split end position.
Second down and 1, New England. Hand off to Robert Edwards. Close for the first down. Phil Hansen, number 90, with the tackle.
That's one thing Ernie Zampese, the offensive coordinator for New England, has done the last few weeks, is they've been so much more imaginative, almost back to the days when Zampese was with San Diego and the Chargers and the old Air Coryell days. And there's Ernie right there with the glasses, and he's really gotten a situation going where you've got running backs outside, you've got a tight end, Ben Coates, lined up as a slot receiver inside a running back for Drew Bledsoe, and it really causes some problems, I think, matchup-wise, and who's got who, and where should I go if type questions for defensive backs.
On the stretch, first down. Wade Phillips, of course, 2 years the head coach in Denver. He was on the staff with his dad, Bum, Houston and New Orleans.
And as good as things have been so far since Doug Flutie's been in, Wade Phillips has his team living week to week. They're not looking forward and saying, gee, I guess we're a playoff team now.
Here's Bledsoe, blitz, lets it go left side, caught Sean Jefferson. First down up at the 47-yard line in front of Gabe Northern, the linebacker. Jefferson, who had that 25-yard catch for the victory Monday night. 6 for 131 in the Monday night effort.
And Sean Jefferson's the guy started with the Chargers, ended up here at New England because people in San Diego said, you know, he drops the ball once in a while and just doesn't make the big plays. And early in his time here in New England, he was having some problems holding on to the ball, but he has really turned into a real clutch guy for Drew Bledsoe in the absence of Terry Glenn.
That's Jefferson in motion. Handoff goes to Edwards, and he works it to the 50-yard line. That'll be enough for another first down and 10. Sam Rogers and Phil Hansen make the tackle. Robert Edwards played at Georgia. Talking yesterday about running back U. And then they went out and were defeated by Georgia Tech. So tough time for Robert Edwards.
Oh, he made the point where he says, you know, back in the old days with Herschel Walker and them, it was running back you. But, you know, recently we've been sort of a passing team. I said, let's see. Garrison Hurst, right. Robert Edwards, Terrell Davis. It hasn't stopped.
Nope. Here's Bledsoe. That one is dropped by Robert Edwards. Had running on his mind.
You know, we talk about players getting in air and how there's certain guys you want to get in air. Well, Pete Carroll's running back, the rookie out of Georgia, had lots of air and was bothered by air. Because he had so much air, he was worried about getting down the field and getting as many yards in that air as he could and didn't catch that ball. Because you're not going to get perfect passes from Drew Bledsoe today. I mean, they're not going to be absolutely right where they're supposed to be. They're going to be in the body frame, but that finger has to have some effect on the accuracy.
2nd down and 10, a 14-6 Patriot lead. Ball play, Edwards breaks a tackle at the line of scrimmage, surges across the 45, and is down at the 43-yard line. Marlo Perry, number 58, made the stop.
And this play is just a little short hesitation by the Patriots in the backfield. Edwards takes it and gets some real nice blocks up front. You know, Todd Rucci's getting a good one. Look at Ben Coates working on the linebacker Perry on the outside. I mean, you get good blocks not only from your inside guys, but your tight end gets 98. If the defense starts first and draws the offense off, it's a penalty against the defense. Didn't always used to be that way. People could flinch, and defensive coaches like Wade Phillips would teach their defensive linemen to flinch and jump out at offensive linemen and make a move.
Prior to the snap, false start, 68 of the offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Well, Pete Carroll doesn't think so, but, you know, having said that, those darn offensive linemen got to learn how to concentrate. Who moves first?
Oh.
Well, Price is the first one, 91, to move. But Max Lane, who's not lined up on Price, ends up moving first for Pete Carroll. But what Pete Carroll saw on the sideline was that first twitch from the defensive player and the offensive player reacting to it.
5th penalty against the Patriots, and that sets up a 3rd and 8. Bledsoe operates out of the shotgun. Derek Cullors in the backfield. Blitz coming. Bledsoe lets it go. It's almost picked off. Henry Jones has a collision with Terry Glenn.
I tell you, Terry Glenn came inside, and Henry Jones told us last week as Glenn lines up at the top of the screen. Glenn's a good receiver, but you know, you get those little guys, you've got to hit them when they go in there and make them think twice. And Terry Glenn was thinking the 3rd, 4th, and 5th time by the time he didn't stick his arms out for that ball. That was not much want to by number 88.
And I think he sensed the very strong presence of Henry Jones. Tom Tupa sends it deep. Sends it back, and it is down at the 1-yard line. Nope, it's not.
The foot.
Thought they had it.
The foot hit the goal line of one of those players that was laying on the ball. I couldn't tell if it was Wiggum or exactly who, but the ball was down. But Derek Cullors or Wiggum or one of those guys had their foot on a goal line.
That was a very authoritative